Am I the a-hole for refusing to take down my post and letting my ex face the consequences of her cheating? I was with my ex Kate for 2 years and living together for 1 year. To make all the drama short, I found out she had been having an affair for 6 months with her boss. I found out about it and broke up with her on the spot. She didn't even try to justify or deny it and just moved out. But here comes the main thing in all this mess. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that she would bring our breakup to Instagram, but she did, with the classic BS of me holding her back, a bright future waiting for her, and all that type of stuff. But here's the part that made me mad as hell. One of her posts said I was abusing her emotionally and physically. I have a special spot for this because I volunteer at one of those abused women's centers and provide housing for real victims of abuse. It's a long story about a female friend of mine who died because of her ex, and that tragedy deeply affected me. It was the main reason I started volunteering. So you can imagine the rage and anger I felt when she posted that fake BS. I simply made a post on my IG page with proof of her cheating and tagged her directly. The part I wasn't expecting comes now because, to me, for no reason, it's like IG decided to make my post go viral in our community, and the internet rage started under her posts. I was expecting maybe someone to call her out and nothing more, but the consequences hit her harder than I could have expected. In just 2 weeks, her profile was full of people calling her every possible name in the book, wishing her the worst, and all that. But Kate, being Kate, instead of doing what normal people would do, doubled down and got even more hate and worse stuff than I thought possible. The cherry on top was the fact that she is now on administrative leave because apparently her boss tried to throw her under the bus to save his job, and mostly because her company's page became flooded with not-so-kind comments about her, from the classic "fire her" to stuff I can't say here. And the most insane thing happened 3 days ago. Her car was smashed by someone. Not me, obviously. I have better things to do than worry about a cheating ex. And even her own family started getting harassed by people online and on their socials. Yesterday, she wrote to me from a new number, asking me to delete my post because she couldn't keep up anymore with people insulting her on every post she made, and the job thing was the last straw. Honestly, I wasn't expecting all this mess, and of course, some people crossed the line with her car, her family, and her job. But you know what? I don't feel bad for her at all. I mean, she knew how strongly I felt about abused women, and still tried to paint me as a villain by accusing me of something she knew exactly how sensitive I was about. So maybe it's because it's all still fresh, but I don't feel bad for her, and have no intention of taking down my post, which actually gained me 50,000 followers out of nowhere. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to take my post down and letting her face the consequences of her cheating? Now for the top comments. Ask her to post a retraction and apology to you on her social media. She made false statements that would threaten your job and reputation, so until you get at least that, screw her. She made her bed. She can lie in it. Ditto. She needs to both apologize and retract the accusations of abuse, publicly. You don't owe her anything. If you want to be nice, take it down, but not if she's just going to lie about you again. She can certainly just delete her social media and not deal with any of this anymore. That's probably the best idea for her now. If you want to work with her, I would say you can take your post down, since it's already done its job, but she needs to make a post admitting that she lied about you. If she's going to tarnish your reputation, she has to be the one to clear it before you take your post down. Not the a-hole. Yeah, absolutely not the a-hole for setting the record straight on her lies. Also not the a-hole for keeping the post up. But I would make removal of your post conditional on her publicly apologizing and admitting that she lied. Not the a-hole. She reaps what she sows. She cheated, that is one thing. But to go back and try to destroy you, even knowing what she did to you, it was okay when you would lose your job and reputation. She didn't care then. Why should you? She got played the very same way. She has every opportunity to make a public apology. She didn't. In fact, she continued her tirade. Let her live in her misery. Karma served her well. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my wife homeless after our divorce? I, 35 male, just finalized the divorce from my wife, 35 female. We were together for 5 years, married for 4. She has a daughter, now 5, who I've raised since she was a baby, but I am not the biological father. Throughout the entire relationship, I was the only one working. I paid for everything: housing, bills, cars, school, all of it. I never complained because I thought we were a team. But after we got married, my wife just emotionally disconnected. She stopped showing affection, stopped trying in the relationship, and anytime I tried to talk about it, she'd shut me down or say I was attacking her. Eventually, I honestly felt like I was just a paycheck and not a partner. I held on as long as I could because of the little girl, but I was breaking down mentally and emotionally, so I filed for divorce. Recently, as in a few months ago, I became disabled, and my only income is disability, so the court didn't order child support or alimony. She got a car and her belongings, but nothing else. I feel bad about this because I make 6 figures in disability pay. Now she and her daughter don't have a stable place to stay. She's been staying in random places, and I can't stop thinking about it. I feel like I abandoned them. But at the same time, I spent years asking her to work with me, meet me halfway, do something to build a life together. She refused. I already gave everything I had. I'm completely drained. I don't know what to do. Do I step in and try to help? Or is it okay to step back now that the marriage is over and let her figure things out on her own? I feel guilty no matter what I choose. So, am I the a-hole for essentially leaving her and her daughter homeless and not helping? How are you getting 6-figure disability? The maximum for high earners is like $4,000 a month. That's $50,000 a year. At your age, it's very unlikely you'd qualify for the max even with very high earnings. $45,000 on VA, $25,000 Social Security disability insurance, $31,000 combat-related special compensation. I am sorry to say this, but your wife only married you for your money. You were her ATM. Why do you think she disconnected after marriage? She got her ATM, so no affection, no sex, etc. Trust me, she will find her another ATM. Your story is why I didn't date single moms when I was single and dating. There are at least 5 reasons for not dating a single mom, and one of them is being an ATM to them. By the way, where's the bio father of her daughter? I am assuming they were not married and he left before she was born and never paid a dime of support. It is not your fault that she is homeless. She is probably looking for her next ATM. Bio father took off never to be seen and is working under the table to not pay a dime. I'm always curious about these relationships. She never worked, and she expected you to 100% support her and another man's child? What made her worth marrying? What did she do/have/say that made you think, yes, this is my life partner? Was it looks alone? No, she's average looking like me. When I first met her and while dating, she was different. She cooked, cleaned, put in effort. After we married, it slowly dwindled. So you just fired your maid then? She used to do those things. We married and it slowly dwindled, meaning she wasn't doing her maid duties anymore. So she's fired. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé we should break up because I won't make my son consider her his mom? I, 30 male, have custody of my son, 10 male, and his mom at this present time does not have any visitation or custody with him. She's not stable and can't be trusted to even cooperate with supervised visits. The last time he saw her was 2 years ago, and it was for a supervised visit. I started dating my fiancée Ellie, 28 female, when my son was 6, and I introduced them when he was 7. They get along pretty well. He didn't have any issues with me and Ellie, or Ellie being around, but he doesn't have a very close bond with her, and he hasn't formed the kind of bond where he loves her like a mom, or sees her as a mom. Ellie admitted to me recently that she has an issue with him seeing her as my girlfriend/fiancée and not as a mom to him. She has tried to create that bond with him because she has started to see him as her son, but he never felt the same. He corrects anyone assuming she's his mom, and she said that hurts her feelings because she's been there for him more than his mom, has worked hard to be a solid presence in his life, and has provided him with the motherly love that he doesn't get from his mom, but it's not enough. She said she wanted him to get back into therapy and for us to do therapy as a family to get us to that point before the wedding. She said she wants to be able to call him her son and have him call her mom at the wedding, and that he won't do it on his own, so we need to encourage it. I asked her why she'd want to force this, and she said it's not forcing, it's encouraging. And don't I think he needs a mother to be present, love him, and teach him everything he needs to know? She asked how things would work if she remains just Ellie and he goes back to his mom in several years' time. She said it wouldn't be good for him, but she is and always will be. I pointed out she could be good for him without forcing him to see her as his mom. She said she'll be good to him regardless, but she doesn't like that he doesn't have a mom he can talk to, be guided by, and loved by. I told her I wasn't comfortable with any of this. She said I should want to do this for our family, and that she's not sure she could marry me if that's my attitude. I told her we should break up then, because I won't force him to consider her his mom. She wasn't expecting that to be my answer, and she asked me why I wouldn't reconsider for my son's sake. I don't believe it would benefit my son to force this, because even if you call it encouraging, all that extra therapy and the pressure of her wish for the wedding feels a lot like force. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your partner is expecting your son to understand a lot of grown-up concepts. He's 10. He doesn't know what it is to be a mom. He doesn't necessarily fully grasp his bio-mom's situation. These kinds of things are hard and complicated for a small child to grasp. It's great that she's showing up for him like this, but demanding something in return from a child is a lot of pressure, as you've said. You're protecting your kid's autonomy, and I respect that. Forcing a title is how you ensure a child never ever offers it willingly. His fiancé should never demand. The son's connection to her should be earned over time. I think she is trying to cement her place in the family, a precursor to cementing herself into the family by marriage. Not the a-hole. She needs to get her expectations in order. I get it why she wants to be mom to him, or why she sees him as his son, but she isn't mom, and he isn't son. Now, question to you, OP. How do you feel about family therapy? Do you want to try it? See how your son will feel, or see if Ellie can get into terms with not being mom? If yes, try to have it. That would be my recommendation. If you still are hesitant or feel like she'll never get over, just break it off. No point in letting the resentment grow. I don't feel like family therapy would be a good idea for us, because I know Ellie would be going into it trying to make my son change his feelings. And with how strongly she feels about it, I can't imagine her being willing to work on accepting the possibility they won't change. I'm wondering if the mom title is too loaded for everybody. Your son has her stabilizing presence and love. The three of you operate as a family, true? It sounds as if Ellie does focus on the meaningful qualities of her relationships. Can she define why the mom title is a sticking point? Son feels the way he feels. You cannot demand the change. And as he grows, he will change, maybe surprising everybody. Therapy is a fine idea, just not with the goal of making son pretend Ellie is his mother. Good luck. It's not just about the title, but about being seen as his mom. We both know he doesn't. He doesn't call us his parents collectively. He doesn't call her mom. He uses her name and has said she's my girlfriend when talking about who he lives with. So we function as a family. He mentions her when talking about his family. He just hasn't begun to see her in the parental sense. Ellie wants to be seen as this, and as more than just a parent, but as his mom. That's her goal for therapy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for marrying my dad's widow after he passed away? So, this is going to sound awful no matter how I word it, but please try to keep an open mind. My 26 male dad passed away about a year and a half ago. He was married to Elizabeth, 54 female, for around 20 years. She's not my mom, and my dad never actually signed my birth certificate. Long story, family drama, whatever. So, legally and biologically, we're not related in any way. After my dad's funeral, I kept in touch with Elizabeth because she didn't have anyone else. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer earlier this year, and her insurance barely covered anything. The bills were getting insane, and she was talking about stopping treatment because she couldn't afford to keep living like that. I work a stable job with incredible health benefits, the kind that cover dependents at 100%. I asked HR about it, and they said the only way to get someone on my plan like that is if they're a legal dependent. So, I offered to marry her, and she hesitantly accepted. Before anyone jumps to conclusions, it's not romantic. We don't live together, we don't sleep together, and there's nothing going on. I just didn't want to watch her die when I had the ability to help her live. She cried when I asked her to do it, not because she's in love with me, but because she didn't think anyone would care enough to help. Now my family found out, and they're absolutely losing their minds. My aunt said I dishonored my dad's memory. My cousin said I discussed the family and called me a walking Jerry Springer episode. My stepbrother told me I was sick and probably doing it for attention. I get it. It's weird. I know it sounds bad. But I swear this wasn't about anything other than helping someone I care about survive. I've already been through losing one parent figure. I couldn't just stand by and let it happen again just because of red tape and medical costs. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for marrying my dad's widow so she could have health insurance while she fights cancer? I don't think I am, but maybe I'm wrong. Does your stepbrother and family know why you did it? I can't understand your family's reaction unless they didn't wait for an explanation. My friends did this so one of them can have insurance for a needed surgery. It worked. It wasn't romantic. Now they're married to different people, with families, and nothing ever happened. Not the a-hole. So did you explain? Or did you just let people's mind wander? You don't owe anyone an explanation for anything you do, but if you didn't say anything, I kinda get the reaction. I explained. My family doesn't like her from when she married my father. He came from money and she didn't. So they practically shooed him away to prove a point. That didn't work out for them. I assume they will push me away now as well. My stepbrother thinks it's weird because it's just his mom. To me, she isn't biological, but we've been raised together so he doesn't see it past the paper. Did you check with your health insurance to find out if you can now add her to the policy and whether they will cover her cancer treatment? Insurance companies do and often deny coverage for people that have pre-existing conditions. They do cover her now. We have been married for a few months. My family just found out when I posted an image from a company meeting where she was my +1. Am I the a-hole for respecting a worker's stated boundaries, leading to lower raises and bonuses than her coworker? I manage a small team of 2 people, we'll call Jack and Jill, in a contracts department of a manufacturer. I hired both of them myself, as shortly after being promoted to manage the group after my then boss left, both of my direct reports left. One because he retired, the other because she got pregnant and decided to be a stay-at-home mom. It was a struggle at first, since Jack and Jill were new to the company, but we quickly got into what I thought was a good place. They've both worked for me for 2 years. Jack is a single guy, no kids. Jill is also single, but explained to me in her interview 2 years ago that she is a mom to a 5-year-old, and work-life balance was extremely important to her. She said she'd give 100% during the scheduled working hours, 8:30 to 5, of which 1/2 hour is lunch, but that she would not work extra hours, wouldn't take work home, wouldn't work weekends, and couldn't travel. I hired her with that understanding. We have a lot of routine work that can just be done anytime, part of the reason I can respect Jill's boundaries. But sometimes projects come along that require immediate attention. For example, we're in the Eastern time zone, and a contract may come in at 4 p.m., our time from our West Coast team, and they may want it reviewed and turned around that same day, with whoever does the review being available for follow-up into the early evening, as they're trying to close the deal. Jill can't take those projects because of her strict 5 p.m. limitation, so I either do them myself, or if Jack is willing and able to do them, he takes some of them. To be clear, I do not dump all of these on Jack. I do my share of after-hours work. I thought this arrangement was working well. Both Jack and Jill are skilled, competent workers, and if they both work the same hours, their output would be almost identical. However, because Jack is willing to put in extra hours, maybe 5 to 10 hours more per week, he gets more done. I've also sent him on some trips for on-site negotiations with clients that required overnight travel, which Jill can't do. The result is that, while I hired them at the same salary, Jack has received slightly higher raises and bigger year-end bonuses than Jill. Although I didn't think Jill knew this since we don't share this information, and I doubt Jack told her. This all came to a head when I was called into HR after Jill's most recent performance review to close out her second year. As I did the first time, I rated her successful. We only have 3 options: needs improvement, successful, and outstanding. We also are limited overall within the company to no more than 10% outstanding. And since I only have 2 direct reports, I have to lobby just to get even 1 outstanding. The first year I rated them both successful, and this year I rated Jack outstanding and Jill successful. If I had to pick between the 2, Jack is going to get the higher rating every time because of his willingness to go above and beyond the call when needed. Jill was upset that she was being penalized, her words, for her work boundaries. Somehow she had learned that Jack got bigger raises and bonuses than she did. Again, I don't know how she learned this. Maybe Jack told someone else what he made, and this got back to Jill through the grapevine. I said yes, that's because he does more work, because he is willing and able to stay late and work weekends when we're in a crunch, etc. Jill said it was her understanding that she was allowed to work 8:30 to 5 Monday to Friday, and that's it. I said yes, I agreed to that when she was hired, and she is a good worker and I love having her on the team. But that shouldn't mean I couldn't reward someone who objectively did more work than she did, because they didn't have those same strict boundaries. She asked how she could become outstanding, and I looked at the HR rep and said, if we're limited to 10% outstanding, I don't see how Jill would ever be outstanding as long as Jack is here, unless she suddenly becomes way more efficient, or he suddenly becomes less so, because they do equally good work but he does more of it. The HR rep then said, I understand, asked Jill to leave, and then reamed me for what I said, saying employee ratings weren't just about hours worked. I said I agree, but in this case, their work is the same quality. Their clients both like them equally, etc. I have no basis to rate one over the other, except the fact that one is willing to put in more time, unpaid, since we're all on salary, and that I would stand by giving Jack bigger raises and bonuses and a higher rating every time. The HR rep said my bias against a single mom was showing, and I said, what? And walked out. None of this made any sense to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You put yourself in a corner by using hours worked as a metric. It should be about output. Jack is clearly going above and beyond and qualifying for outstanding, while Jill is doing what she's supposed to do. So she's successful, that's clear as day. But yeah, you went about it the wrong way by even mentioning hours worked. You should have very concrete metrics for your ratings, how many contracts did they handle, etc. Look at output. If she can't stay longer because she's a single mom, she is arguing that she should not be penalized for having a work boundary. HR made a big mistake in not talking to you first about your answer and critiquing it or brainstorming it. HR only cares about not being sued and doing things legally. They are worried about discrimination. OP should reach out to the same HR person and set up a meeting. Ask why she was not given a meeting with HR alone before the meeting with all 3 parties. Then request one the next time you have an HR complaint. Also go through all the answers you are getting on Reddit. There are a lot of great ones here, and ask which one would be best if/when it happens next year. OP very clearly states their efficiency is almost identical. Jack works more hours, therefore his output is higher. This was clearly stated in what OP wrote. But that shouldn't mean I couldn't reward someone who objectively did more work. One of a number of times OP has explicitly stated more work that directly and unambiguously refers to output. Yeah, this is apparently where I messed up, according to Reddit. It is true that in the HR meeting I discussed Jack working more hours. It's also true that, because the work they do in the same amount of time is roughly equal, he is producing more output. To me, it's silly that I have to play these semantic games around output versus hours. If Jill had asked, or we had advertised, for a part-time position where she only worked 30 hours a week instead of 40, I presume she would have expected to get paid less than someone performing a similar role but working 40 hours a week. Then if it turned out she was a superstar who could do in 30 hours what someone else did in 40, I would, as a good manager, have to figure out how to compensate her appropriately. But if, as one would expect, she simply produced 75% of what the 40-hour worker did, no one would be surprised or upset that she was paid differently. So I guess I don't understand why it's a surprise to anyone when someone who works 45 to 50 hours in an average week is paid differently. Especially when I'd be more than happy to give her the same opportunity, except she expressed at the outset that she didn't want it. Again, I get that at the end of the day, it's about output, not hours. But as I said, the nature of the work is such that more hours pretty much automatically translates into more output. I think I should be given enough credit that I am capable of recognizing the difference between an employee who is working more hours and getting more done versus an employee who stretches 8 hours of work a day into 10 hours and therefore appears to be working more but really isn't doing more. Next story. Am I the a-hole for turning up to run lit up like a Christmas tree? I'm not entirely sure I am in the wrong here just because of how strongly some people feel about it. My coworker, let's call her Anna, is just getting into running and asked if I would join her for a run one night after work. I agreed, as I am an avid runner. We went for the run last week and only managed 5 minutes before Anna called it, refusing to do any more with me because of how I was dressed. As it was dark, I had on my running vest that had clip-on lights on both sides, and my head torch so I could see where I was running. I also had some reflective panels on my clothing. Anna told me that I looked ridiculous lit up like a Christmas tree, and that she wasn't going to be seen with me dressed the way I was. Anna had dark clothing on with just some thin reflective strips. I told Anna that I take my safety when running at night seriously, because I was hit by a car 2 years ago when running. I didn't see the car as it came around the corner at speed, nor did they see me. It took me months to just get back on my feet, and I'm still not running the mileage I used to. I used to run without any lights and was just reliant on the small reflective panels on my clothes. Someone in our work group chat, it's a social chat not work-related, asked how the run went and asked if we were now going to have a team running club. Anna posted that the run didn't go to plan because I was dressed ridiculously, but that she loved the idea of having a team running club. Somebody else asked if I was wearing my lights, as he'd seen me in them before, then asked Anna if she knew why I ran with lights. Anna told him that it didn't matter because it was embarrassing. People were chiming in about whether it was embarrassing or not that I had lights on. Anna then commented that if I needed to be lit up like a Christmas tree to feel safe when running at night, then I should just buy a treadmill. I removed myself from the group chat after that comment, as I'd had enough and didn't want to engage with it. I get that to Anna it was embarrassing, but she didn't need to drag me through the group chat over it. I never publicly criticized her for her outfit, though I did offer her my spare headlight if she wanted it. Not the a-hole. You got hit by a car before, and you're just trying to not die on a night run, and she turned it into some weird public humiliation bit. Her being embarrassed doesn't trump your safety. Removing yourself from the chat was the only sane move. Not the a-hole. Anna is unfortunately a horrible person. I don't understand her embarrassment and absolutely don't understand her bullying. She should be embarrassed, but because of her own shallowness and unkindness. Anna is a B. Go running with other co-workers who aren't a B. And when Anna gets hit by a car while running in the dark, buy her a light as a get-well gift. My daughter's best friend was hit and killed walking across the street in broad daylight. One time at night, I saw a dude on a bike get hit by a car. If he hadn't been on that bike, he would have been dead. I was shocked when he got up off the street. 1 second, and it's all over. As a driver in the dark Midwestern winter, I appreciate runners like you. It makes my life so much easier and prevents terrible tragedies. Not the a-hole, but Anna sure is. As was said above, run with people who aren't bees. Anna sounds like she's 13. I can't tell you how many times people in my neighborhood walking around early morning or evening in winter when it's dark AF outside, and I can't see them until I'm right up on them. We don't have sidewalks, urban, so some are in the shoulder, that drivers also use regularly to go around cars turning left, and others literally in the road when there is no shoulder. My heart races for like half an hour. When I see cyclists or pedestrians wearing reflective gear, I am so thankful that they take precautions. Keep doing what you're doing, OP. Last story. My neighbors kept blocking the driveway to my garage, so I called council and got them towed. Am I the a-hole? Any advice? I moved to this house 4 months ago. I noticed a van parked entirely in front of the driveway, so I had to park far away and move in, walking my things through the rain. Very annoying. I settled in, and over those weeks, different cars kept parking in front of my driveway. Finally, I was gardening out the front when I saw the neighbor park his van in front of my driveway. I went up to him and introduced myself kindly and said I noticed he and, I think, his guests kept parking in front of my driveway. I wasn't sure if he had an arrangement with the previous tenants, but could he stop because I would like to use it? He looked shocked and said, "Oh, can your car even fit in the garage?" I said yes. For context, this is in the metro area of Sydney, a street full of old houses with tiny, narrow garages. Most people on our street don't use their actual garages, but instead park in front of their driveways. I know this is illegal. I would like to do the same with my driveway. And I think that even if I want to use my narrow garage once in a blue moon, I should have access to it. Since then, cars often still block or partially block my driveway. There is usually street parking anyway, but occasionally I have to park 200 meters away with heavy groceries or in the rain. So I have left a total of 5 notes on their cars when they block the driveway. The first couple of notes were nice and friendly, simply asking them to stop and that I need 24/7 access to the garage. The last 3 were more stern. They have a huge renovated driveway with 2 entries and auto fences, and they don't always use it. Often they just park in front of it. However, they are a huge family with 6 cars and a huge boat, plus always have guests and parties. I couldn't care less, but stop using my driveway. For some reason, entitlement, his wife parks her huge truck half blocking my driveway again, this time leaving it for 3 days. Today it was 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. I got home from the beach with a ton of things, and her car is still there, and their guests are taking up the rest of the close street parking. Annoyed, I decided to leave the note, but this time I took pics and reported it to council. I was unsure what would come of it. Unexpectedly, council came immediately and towed the car. I don't know what I expected, but I thought maybe they'd just talk to them, send a letter, or give a fine. I believe they will know it was me who reported them to council. Now I feel like they are going to try and confront me or do something because they seem like those kinds of people. I am a 29 female but look a lot younger. My housemates are 24 and 25 female, so I feel like they thought they could just do what they wanted and assumed we would be too intimidated. After they disregarded you the first time, I would have informed council then. Thank you. I actually did a couple of times, but I didn't take pictures, so maybe that's why they didn't come immediately like they did today. And if they keep blocking your driveway, take pictures and tow them each time. Eventually, they'll get tired of the financial consequences and the process of getting their vehicle back. Not the a-hole, it's refreshing to hear that local council did something useful. Also Aussie here, and when I had someone part across my driveway and I couldn't get out to go to work, I called the police and they said they couldn't do anything. It was nighttime, but I still wouldn't have thought to call council. Well played. I know, I was surprised. I have contacted them twice before and nothing came of it, but maybe because it was the 3rd time and I had pictures they could see this a recurring issue. Or maybe they just had a quiet day. This happened to me in the past. A neighbor kept parking across my drive, even when my car was on it. I caught them doing it one day and confronted them. They said they could park wherever they liked because they were a nurse. Not sure what that gave them permission to park where they liked, but that's what they claimed. Anyway, it was still there the following morning when I needed to go to work, so I called the council and they towed it. She never did it again. If they confront you over it, just tell them tough. They've no right to park there. If they did, the council wouldn't have towed them. They're in the wrong and have no right to complain. Tell them if they do it again, you'll do it again. You're not the one being an unpleasant neighbor, they are. Entitled Cousin Ruined His Life After a Family Reunion. My 31 male, cousin 30 male, who I'll call Jake, has always considered himself the favorite of all the grandkids because of how our grandparents would always do stuff specifically with him. The real reason why they only spend time with him is because he lives 5 minutes from them, whereas the rest of us live in different states, me being the furthest at a 13-hour car ride. None of us know where this entitlement comes from. Even Jake's parents have called him out on his behavior, but it doesn't change. So, to the story. My grandma passed away 10 years ago, and my grandpa's getting up in age, 92, but is still amazingly healthy despite it all. My dad, aunts, and uncles were having some discussions with him leading up to the summer family reunion regarding future funeral costs, making sure his will was up to date, insurance, etc. We got to the reunion this past August, and all was going well, until Jake made a comment about how he's totally getting the house and Grandpa's refurbished cars. My grandpa rebuilds old cars with my uncle, Jake's dad. We all ignored him like usual, which seemed to upset him. So he decided to prove it to us and asked Grandpa directly about the will. Grandpa gathered all 9 of the grandkids together and told us that his major assets, the house and cars, would be sold and divided equally among all of us grandkids. Jake lost his mind because despite years of being told that Grandpa loves all his grandchildren equally, he still believed he was the favorite and would therefore get most of the inheritance. It got even worse when he realized this included our step-cousin Erin, 25 female, who despite being in the family since she was 12, wasn't even a real grandkid. TLDR, this devolved into literally the entire family ganging up on Jake, hurling all kinds of insults at him for the things he said. The reason I'm writing about this now is that I just got off the phone with another cousin an hour ago, who told me that Jake was arrested last night for trying to steal one of our grandpa's cars. But since he never once actually helped with those things, the idiot tried to steal one that didn't even work yet. From what I've heard, Jake is currently sitting in a jail cell with his parents refusing to bail him out, and my grandpa has a meeting with his attorney on Thursday to remove Jake from the will. Sorry if this was all over the place, but this is the basic gist of the drama currently taking place in my family. Edit. Just to clarify, Grandpa had discussed this in advance with all of his kids, my dad, aunts, and uncles. And since everyone is well established in life, they were happy to let the money from the house and car sales go to the grandkids. Everyone will still be getting sentimental items too, of course. Edit 2. None of us know why or where Jake gets his ego from. He's a college graduate, had a great job working for a local mining company. His parents are honestly my favorite aunt and uncle to hang out with. He doesn't do drugs, and he's the kind of guy to nurse a single beer for an hour and call it a night. Now for the top comments. Guess Jake isn't the favorite anymore. What a doofus. It's amazing how many people feel like they're entitled to money from an inheritance. If you get anything from a family member or friend who leaves it to you when they pass, that is a gift. It's not something they owe. You don't get to whine about what you get. I was the favorite of a great aunt with no kids. Got nothing. It all went to her brothers and sisters. I didn't care. Was just sad she was gone. When my grandmother died, she had arranged to give $1,000 to each of the grandkids. One of my uncles threw a tantrum because 2 of the cousins were conceived by my uncle in a sperm donor situation. So Tantrum Uncle tried claiming that they didn't count as family. What a freaking turd, burning bridges over $2,000. My mom is one of 8. My grandfather used to own a steel company in southern Indiana. Before my grandmother passed, there were already sticky notes on the back of all the furniture claiming it. So freaking morbid in my opinion. I live in Metro Atlanta, and all I got was my grandma's old dried-up paints, whereas my cousins who live in southern Indiana got full bedroom and dining room sets that they later sold. At least I never have to see those people again until someone dies. See, my grandma did the post-it thing herself. She would walk around her condo with you and ask you your top 5 choices ranked, and then once everyone had done that, she'd figure out the first round objects, and if people's first choices were uncontested, she'd move to second choices. Or on everyone's next visit, you'd do the second round of this. There were some things that she wanted to pass down in a particular way, like the oldest's oldest or the youngest's youngest, and larger pieces of furniture were prioritized for the people who would actually hold on to them and use them. It's why I have 2 bookcases and the corner cabinet that goes with them, an old buffet used as a console table, a dining room set, and a coffee table. One of my sisters has our other grandma's dining room set and no plans to ever sell it, just to reupholster the chairs when she can pick a fabric. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my stepdaughter a reality check? My husband and I are in our late 30s and early 40s. He has a kid from a previous relationship, who I'll call Abby. She's 16 turning 17 and pregnant. From my understanding of the whole situation, it's her boyfriend's 18 and in college, and he's refusing to answer her calls. She wants to keep the baby, but thinks everyone is going to bend over backwards to help her do so. Everyone has told her multiple times that they aren't going to help her, and that she will be on her own. Abby and I have a decent relationship. I met her about 3 years ago when she was 14, and we have a civil relationship. She has a mom, so I'm just dad's wife to her mainly. Recently, she's been getting closer to me and trying to talk to me more, which was weird because normally when she does that, she wants something. After about a week, she got tired and told me what she wanted. She wants me to watch her baby during the day while she's in school. I told her no, as I have my own 2 kids to watch, twins. She got upset and said she doesn't understand why, when I had my kids, people offered to help and did things for me. And now that she's pregnant, no one wants to help her and is making her do everything herself. I explained to her that my kids were rainbow babies and that a lot of people knew we struggled with fertility and that her dad and I are adults. We had a plan, money, and a happy home for our kids, and she has none of that. I explained that nobody is going to help her because she got herself into this situation, and she's going to have to act like an adult if she wants to keep her baby. She kept screaming and saying things about how it's unfair and that we need to support her, that she needs help, and a lot of other stuff. I told her to go to someone else because no one in her family is going to help her. She got mad and kept yelling about the same thing. I told her to leave me alone, and she didn't. She kept talking about how her life is falling apart, how this pregnancy is making her parents and friends distant, and how it's not fair. I eventually got tired of her and told her that her mom thinks she's a disappointment and that no one has to help her because she got herself into this. I said if she wants help, she should ask the father, and if she can't ask him, then ask his family or someone else, because no one is going to help her the way she expects them to. She got mad and told her dad what I said. He got upset and said that it was too far, and even if I'm right, I shouldn't have said that. So, am I the a-hole? Note, she has a late birthday, so that's why it's a 16 to 18 age gap. She turns 17 in November. The reason I told her what her mom thinks is because she was complaining about how her mom doesn't want her at the house, and yes, her mom has told her before that she is a disappointment. Edit. A lot of you are under the assumption that no one told her the options. They have, multiple times. She is choosing to keep this baby. Her dad and I told her that if she wants this kid, she'll need to get a job, and we told her how much it will cost to raise that child. She just says, okay, and moves on. Another thing is we, her parents, do not know where the boyfriend's parents are. They have moved as they no longer feel the need to live in the school district. The boy's over 14 hours away at college, and it seems the only way to contact him is to see him, and neither I nor her dad is driving 14 hours away. Seems like her father needs to contact the college student's parents, get lawyers involved for child support. He can get a job. He shouldn't get off scot-free. He shouldn't slip away, but the point of this post is how stepmom reacted. Being a teenage single parent is a hard life and she will need help. The way this reads is that no one wants her around, which is messed up to do to a scared kid. Daughter might be a doofus, but she also needs compassion and may be steered towards resources that can or will help her. Is she assuming she's had an easy stroll? Yes. Does she deserve a nasty reality check? Yes. Should dad and stepmom have a little compassion? Also yes. Refusing to take care of her child while she's at school is entirely within your rights. Helping her find daycare should be your concern as an adult. Telling her that you deserve help because your babies were wanted and her isn't is literally telling her that her baby is worth less than yours. You can be certain that's how she heard it. This was my takeaway too. I get not everyone is able to help, but to say my babies deserve a village and yours don't is actually a pretty vile perspective. That's what bothers me. She doesn't have to watch the kid, but she seems to want this girl to suffer. She is a pregnant teenager. She is going to suffer enough. They need to at least point her in the direction of help, especially if they are so unwilling. For someone who claims to have struggled with fertility and should understand how hard having a baby is under the best of circumstances, she is pretty damned callous. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I won't make sure my half-sister is safe even though I know she's being reckless? My dad got another woman pregnant when he and my mom were expecting me. I'm 16 male and his and my mom's only kid. Emmy, 16 female, is the other woman, aka his now wife's baby. When my mom ended their marriage, my dad chose Emmy and her mom, and really didn't play a hugely active role in my life afterward. I'm pretty sure he went to jail for failing to pay child support, but my mom has never confirmed if that's true or not. There was talk at school about it, which is how I know. My dad has other kids with Emmy's mom, but this post is about Emmy. We don't like each other. I don't care about her. I never acknowledge that we're related, and I say I'm an only child when asked by people. I say I only have a mom too, because most of my life that has been true. Last year, my dad started fighting for visitation and making me go to his house more. I spent 3 overnights a month at his place, but I haven't bonded with his family, and I still don't like Emmy, and she still doesn't like me. She's jealous that I'm Dad's only son, and she believes is why he started wanting to know me again last year. I can't stand the way she talks about my mom, and I've insulted her mom right back. When I was younger, I hated her for having Dad though. Like, I really hated her. It's not about him anymore though, and I just hate her for calling my mom a whore for dating and implying she's easy and sleeps with anyone, when her mom's the one who slept with a married guy. Ever since Dad started trying to work on our relationship, Emmy has been acting out and being reckless. I'm talking drinking, drugs, sex, and getting into cars with guys who drive super fast and recklessly. She goes to parties and tries to be the center of attention. I avoid most parties now because of her, but when I see her there, I ignore her. There were a couple of parties where she was close to being raped. Another time, the parents came home and found her with more than one boy, and they called her parents. My dad asked me a few times to look out for her and make sure she's not in danger because of how reckless she is, but I told him it's not my job, and I don't care about her enough to go out of my way to keep her safe. He tried to use the sister argument, but I was quick to shut it down because there's no way you could make me care for that reason. She was missing for a few days last week and turned up at some guy's house. I saw her with him outside school and didn't really pay attention to what was going on. It pissed my dad off, and he showed up at my mom's house to yell at me. I didn't care. He might have snapped enough to call time on me being at his house, which would be better for everyone. Emmy didn't come back to school after that, and I don't know if she was found okay or if something happened, and I really don't care. Which made me wonder if that's a little evil. Since, related or not, I have known her basically my whole life. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You are 16 years old, and it is not your job to look after another 16-year-old. Clearly, she is a troubled kid who needs professional help. Please save any evidence of your father yelling at you for your sister's behavior. Use that documentation to stay with your mom. A POS father demanding a minor act more responsibly than him, LOL. Not the a-hole. At the end of the day, it's not your job to look out for your dad's daughter. He's the father. He's the adult. It's his job. Honestly, had you actually had a relationship with his daughter, it would be different. But y'all have no relationship at all. And whenever y'all around each other, obviously y'all don't like each other. So I don't understand why he thinks you should be looking out for her. If he knows she's having troubles, issues, acting out, then him and her mother need to be the ones taking steps to make sure she's safe, or getting her the help she needs. Honestly, I wouldn't want to help her either if she was running her mouth about my mom like she does yours. I almost want to say she's just acting out, because she's butthurt that she doesn't have your dad all to herself anymore. This all started when Dad was first trying to fix his relationship with me. So I think it is related, but not about not having him all to herself, but sharing him with me specifically, even though I never wanted him. Sounds like a quick enough fix then. It all started with that. I hope your dad gives up on chasing you. It's ironic that she's behaving exactly like she says your mom does. The girl has a long shopping list of issues. Tell your dad you're going to do one thing to look out for her. Tell him to get her help. Because obviously he's being just a crappier father to her than he's been to you. And he wasn't even around for you at all. You're not the a-hole. You're not her keeper. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my dad's redo wedding to his affair partner? My 27 female parents divorced 2 years ago after my dad, 52 male, had an affair with his now fiancée 38 female. It completely destroyed my mom, who was blindsided. She and my dad had been married for almost 25 years, and she genuinely thought they were growing old together. When the affair came out, she spiraled, moved in with my aunt for a while, started therapy, and has slowly been trying to rebuild her life. Now my dad is getting remarried. Last week, I received a formal invitation in the mail. The envelope had family only, written in gold ink, as if that somehow made it more meaningful. Then he called and said, "I'd love for you to walk me down the aisle this time, since I'm the one starting over." That line made my stomach turn. He wants me to help him celebrate the woman who broke my mother's heart and the marriage that shaped my entire childhood. I told him, as calmly as I could, that I won't be attending a wedding that celebrates the person who blew up our family. He got defensive and said I was punishing him for finding happiness, that I needed to move on like he did. My siblings are split. One plans to go because they don't want more drama, while the other refuses for the same reasons I do. I love my dad, and part of me misses the closeness we once had, but this just feels wrong. Attending feels like betraying my mom, who still cries sometimes when his name comes up. I told him I hope he's happy, but I can't play the part of supportive daughter in this story. He hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to his redo wedding? Actions have consequences. You don't owe attendance at a wedding built on betrayal. He's confusing your lack of participation with punishment. It's actually self-respect. I know a lot of people say when you cheat on your spouse, it doesn't involve the kids. That you didn't cheat on them, but I truly believe this is wrong. When you cheat, you are cheating on your wife and kids. You are blowing up your entire family and their lives. Not the a-hole. He cheated on his wife and also on his kids, in my opinion. Please do not attend this wedding. Please spend the day doing useful, positive, beautiful, fun activities with the good people of and in your life. Of course, there will be upset people wanting to inflict consequences or question you regardless of what you choose. So make sure your choice is something you can explain and feel good about. Your mom and you are not the a-holes.